devils and pirates and really bad eggs drink up me hearty joy. Oh, you're still here. I reckon ye be wanting to hear the rest of the story. Well, listen well, mateys, for this be the final chapter of the legend of Mutiny's End. As you recall, the pirates and the Royal Navy had raced each other across the seven seas, looking for the fabled island. They picked their way through the sea of icy hard hearts. They skirted the ocean of obstinance, and they narrowly escaped an entanglement with the sea serpents of selfishness. Somehow, both vessels arrived intact at the last obstacle, the reefs of rebellion. There, they miraculously found the one narrow passage through those rocky cliffs, the Strait of Surrender. Finally, after a harrowing voyage, both the Navy and the pirates laid anchor off the coast of Mutiny's End. And so, that fateful evening, Captain Horatio Kazoo Blower and Captain Short June Silver both found themselves wading ashore the mysterious island. Yet, truth be told, they weren't exactly the same two captains who had set out from Port to the Call. Their journeys had changed them both, grown them. Take June, for example. Ever a pirate through and through, she had always found her identity in rebellion, in breaking the king's law as frequently and flagrantly as possible. Yet, over the past weeks, as she studied the king's map, she had begun to wonder if perhaps there was a purpose behind those laws. Could it be that the king across the sea actually knew what was best for her? Did he understand what would truly satisfy her? Could it be that he even loved her? The thought was too good to speak aloud, especially to the Navy buffoon beside her. For his part, Horatio had been doing some soul-searching as well. All his life he had served the king, never neglecting one of his commands. As an officer of the Royal Navy, Horatio found his identity in obeying orders, and he had nothing but contempt for those who disobeyed. But for all that time following the king's laws, he had never met the king in person. He'd never considered that perhaps the monarch was less concerned with a person's outward behavior and more concerned with their heart. Perhaps the king delighted in both justice and mercy. Until now, Horatio had never thought of the king as an actual person with an actual personality. Until now, he'd never wanted to really know this king, and maybe even become his friend. It was amidst these many swirling thoughts that June and Horatio finally set foot on the beach of Mutiny's End. And as they faced each other here at journey's close, their old rivalry seemed petty and insignificant. On the doorstep of so great a treasure, what place was there for pride or ambition? The riches before them were infinitely more valuable than self itself. The only question that remained was whether either of them deserved such a treasure. And of course, the answer was no. June had always known she was unworthy of the king's bounty, and now Horatio understood that for all his showy good deeds, his heart was just as dark as the filthiest pirates. Neither of them deserved the riches that the map foretold. And yet, when the same map was finally read in its entirety, a new story began to unfold. You see, the treasure of Mutiny's End, that glorious fortune which the king across the sea desired to share with all his subjects, it was indeed lost long ago due to an act of rebellion. But now, it has been recovered thanks to an act of obedience. The very same admiral who built the Terra Universis and commanded the ship on her maiden voyage,
He was the man who followed the king's law perfectly, in letter and in spirit. He was the one who served the king faithfully on behalf of the rest of us, obeying to the bitter end. And when the good admiral was killed on a plank at the hands of mutineers, the price for all mutiny was paid. He took the death penalty that each of us deserved for our rebellion. And in return, he gave us the right to his treasure, the treasure of the great king. By the by, a man as good as that admiral, well, not even Davy Jones's locker can keep a man like that dead. But that be another story for another time. For now, mateys, let us end our tale on that night when Horatio and June first arrived at Mutiny's End. I'm happy to say that they both read the map, and they both discovered the treasure. No, not gold or silver or jewels or any such rot. The real treasure. You see, by surrendering their wills, by laying down their lives, our brave captains both found the most precious treasure of all, a relationship with the King of Kings. And in him, for the first time, they received their true identities. Aye, that was just the start of all their adventures. For you see, me hearties, Mutiny's end is only joy's beginning.